All right, good morning, Natalie.
Good morning,
So nice
John.
to have you with us
Thank
today.
you for having me.
Of course, we are in our brand new
Yes,
studio. This is
yes.
the very first podcast, and we're very excited to have you with us.
Yeah, it's looking great. I'm really happy to be here. Beautiful studio.
Thank you, thank you. Well,
Yeah.
by way of an official introduction, Natalie Montiel from Real Brokerage.
Yes.
And I know you traveled this morning. It's super crazy windy. If anybody's been watching the weather here in California, there's fires going on. It's windy, and you still made the trek down here. Thank you
Yeah.
for
Big.
braving the elements.
Oh yeah, thank you, thank you. Big shout out to the first responders, definitely with all of that going on.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah,
Yeah, my wife and I were talking this morning, and I was texting friends last night actually, and they're in the Palisades area, alt Malibu, and they weren't responding. So I was like, oh no. Got text, early in the morning as we woke up here, and yeah, we're in a hotel. We had to evacuate, and I'm like, oh my goodness, our hearts and our prayers go
yes,
out to those folks and the folks
yes.
that are responding, like you said.
Yeah.
So, well, we're here to talk about you and to get to know you better. And the title of the podcast, as we spoke about before,
Yeah.
is The Mindset of a Champion. What sets Natalie apart? To personalize it, right? And there's thousands of realtors, there's thousands of lenders, but what is it that would make somebody want to work with you or me, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to get to know you better. We're going to have a conversation that we can actually use this podcast. At the end of the day, I want to be able to send you referrals, which is, usually it's the other way around. When a realtor's working with a lender, it's like, okay, well, here's a pre-approval, but our goal, in addition to that, we're glad to take your referrals, but I want to be able to send you referrals. And one way that I do it is through this podcast. So when I know somebody's looking to buy or sell up in your area, your market, I'm going to say, you know what? Natalie is your choice. In fact, here's a podcast that we did recently. You can get to know why you should work with her specifically. So it's a great referral tool.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I really, really appreciate that. I'm happy for people to get a little bit better of an idea of who I am and what I can offer them.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive into it. So tell us, how did you get into real estate? When did you get into real estate? A little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I've been a licensed realtor. I'm going on a year now. I took
Congrats.
thank you. I took my test right around sometime this year. So I got my official license, like I think it was January 23rd of 2024.
Wow.
So I'm right there at a year. And my coursework, I actually did it at a junior college. And, it took me maybe 6 months to complete all of that. I just really wanted to make sure that I absorbed as much knowledge as I could before practicing. So I've been, finding the ropes probably for about a year and a half. While I was getting licensed, I trained with the company,
Yeah.
and it was really great. I'm saying
So you're
so
learning.
much.
No, that's perfect. And what I'm gathering out of that is
Yeah.
that even before you got licensed, you were starting to learn the real estate principles. Because when you go through the testing part, it's all this stuff you got to know and memorize for a test.
Yeah.
But 80 to 90% of it, you're probably never going to use again. And so being able to train in advance or even during that time when you're practicing for your test, you're learning real life principles, how to deal with clients, how to get clients. So I think that was a huge value for you.
Yeah, it was definitely really valuable. It is very different on a textbook than in real life,
Yeah.
like dealing with actual clients. But getting back to the question, a big reason that I joined real estate and decided to even do the coursework and obtain my license
Right.
was to help people build, generational wealth. I think it has always been a really big part of like the American dream to purchase a home. And, my parents had a really large influence on that as well. All I've known is my parents being homeowners.
Right.
Then, as I grew up, I realized like, wow, they worked hard to become homeowners.
Yeah.
And, it's a goal of mine to really help build that generational wealth in my family and help other families be able to achieve that as well. So that's the biggest reason that I joined real estate. I think a lot of people don't realize how much they can leverage, whether it's their equity, get their next property, have their current home become a rental property, and things like that. Just a lot of education that I want to provide, be able to bring value to people, so that they can achieve goals that they've had or maybe they will have. That's probably the biggest reason why I entered real estate.
That's amazing. And, I heard a couple things that really resonate with me is, when I ask people, when we're interviewing for a new loan officer, or it could even be a new realtor partner that I'd like to work with, I always ask them, why did you get into real estate? And those that start off with, because I really want to help people. I want to help families. Immediately my ears perk up and I'm like, that's a person I want to work with. The flip side, when I ask that same question, why'd you get into real estate? And they lead with, because I heard you can make a lot of money in this. My antennas go up too with a little bit of a flag, because are they really getting into it for the right reason?
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear that you did get into it for the right reason too, because we're in a business where the money's going to follow, right? We have the right mindset, the right heart set to help families. So I love hearing that about you. And the fact that, you've only just begun your career in real estate over the, less than a year and a half, 2 years. That is really commendable. What, when you were in school, were you thinking, I think I want to dive into real estate?
No. So I actually, that same reasoning of building generational wealth, it was, the goal of obtaining my license with, hey, when I buy a house, I want to represent myself.
Right.
And, kind of keep it all with like my family,
right.
Building my family's generational wealth. But
Sure.
As I learned more about it, I was like, no, there's a lot of opportunity. And just, I think it was while I was training, I probably the week of my test, I encountered this gentleman, and he was just telling me all about how he had never been approved. His credit score wasn't the best. I got my license that week, and then I contacted him again, and I let him know, hey, this is you can do this.
Wow.
He was a business owner, so
built his confidence.
Yes, and he achieved that goal of becoming a first-time homeowner in his entire family. So
wait a minute. So you're telling me you just got licensed. You remembered your conversation with this gentleman. You went back, contacted him, and you got your first closing helping that family in like that fast.
It was a bit of a search, but we had that communication. We kept that connection, and after achieving his goal and seeing like how doable it was to help people, that's what kept me in. Yeah. That is a great example for all those that are listening to this. You can do it. And, the fact that you had a conversation with somebody, and that's where it starts, right? You can't be afraid. If people don't know what you do, especially our own family members at times, the worst thing we can hear is someone in our family or close friends or our circle says, oh yeah, I just bought my house, I'm all excited. You're like,
what? So either we didn't do a good enough job telling people what we do, so that's exciting. The fact that you remembered that conversation, you made a lasting impact on that person. So when you reached back out, what was his response?
Well, he was really excited. He was just excited the entire process. He never was one to really show his emotion too much, but just upon when key day came and all of that, it was just so, it's a lot of excitement you feel, and he was really happy to have been able to help him achieve that goal.
That's so exciting. Goal. Well, we're happy for him, happy for you. Tell us a little bit about the areas that you concentrate on and serve in the real estate arena.
Yeah, I serve a lot of Norwalk, first-time homeowners in Norwalk. I've grown up in Norwalk, so I think it's really neat to, the people that are my neighbors.
Right.
Natalie,
they watch little Natalie now.
Yeah. So it's great to, provide guidance to them as well. I was born in Whittier, so Whittier's, somewhere I'll visit a lot as well. And surrounding areas, so, Downey, Cerritos. Cerritos College is actually where I got my real estate license, so staying around there as well. Those are areas that I like to target. Buena Park, just a nice little radius.
Oh, that's great. And I know you and I were talking about this previously. There's a lot of Hispanics and Latinos in the community that I feel personally, and my last name's Rodriguez, so I get it, that are underserved. And what I mean by that is maybe undereducated with the processes. Is that kind of what you're finding in the field?
Definitely. I would say, as with any minority, there's sometimes some vulnerability that comes along. So I do feel that a large role that I take on is educating them and making sure they're as informed as possible, just so that they don't end up with something that wasn't ideal for their situation, especially because most of the time it's a 30-year commitment. I definitely help out a lot of Hispanics, but just as much any demographic. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. The just recently, there's a new organization that myself and our broker Joe joined to support, and it's called HOME, and it's the Hispanic Organization of Mortgage Experts, and specifically, it's to really help our underserved Hispanic loan officers that are in different, because depending on where you're at, you may or may not receive really good training and education so that you can serve your realtor partners and the community. So, some areas are great. There's just lots of opportunity and education. So we joined that so that now we can help not only those that may be here in California, but all over the country, Idaho, different places where the opportunity just isn't there. So we're super excited. But of course, as you mentioned, we serve all demographics because we want everybody to have that American dream as well.
Definitely.
It's important.
Yeah.
Another question. So, we had a pandemic.
Yes.
It still lingers out there on us a little bit, but, that hit the world hard, 2020. And since that time, and then you came into real estate after that, but, these have been some of the most challenging financial times that I've seen in my lifetime. And, a lot of realtors have left the business. A lot of lenders closed up their shops, rolled up their doors, and left the business. It got really difficult. So as you go about your day-to-day business, what things do you do to market yourself, to set yourself apart so that you can help more families?
Yeah, I think a great thing that COVID brought and the pandemic brought was more connection through social media. So I definitely do a lot of my marketing on social media. Sometimes I don't even see it as marketing. I just see it as sharing with, my audience and newer audiences, kind of who I am as a person, what I do day to day.
Get to know you and your personality,
Yes.
your passion for real estate.
Yes. So that's definitely a big part of my marketing, apart from, going door knocking and calling and all of that, and touching base always with my sphere of influence. Like you said, can't let people forget that I'm a realtor. So that's definitely, I think, a great thing that COVID brought was that connection through social media, just staying more tech based. So that's definitely the largest thing that I see and utilize is for my marketing, social media.
Yeah, you're great at it.
Oh.
My wife and I was telling you earlier, I always give her a shout out too. Hi, Jen May, I love you, babe. And we were looking through your social media, and just the things that you post are so relevant. They're community based. It shows you helping the community in different ways. And when people see that, they feel a connection. So that when they actually get to meet you in person, they feel like they've already met you. Have you had that experience, or?
Yeah, I have had that experience. I connected, I've connected with a few, but I've connected with some people on like TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to transition into the process of, pre-approval and shopping, because they kind of already have a feel of my personality, and my ultimate goal is to help. So sometimes I think there's that hurdle of people sharing their why, and them already having a feel for who I am is helpful, because then they can share their why, and I have a better understanding of why we're searching for a property, what our goal with that property is, and if we want it to happen sooner than later, because sometimes sooner isn't ideal for everybody. Right. So it helps a lot with that first interaction.
That's great. And, I go back several years. Social media is not that old, to be honest. It's really over maybe the last 8 to 10-ish years has really started to be used. Because, for business, mainly it was just social and all connect here. And I got all these new friends. Well, you don't even know them. You're just connecting with people. But now I really feel, and see what you think about it too, I really feel that people in our line of work especially, but all businesses, are starting to use social media, AI, to really show people that you can trust me. Right? Do you feel like that as well?
Yeah, definitely. And I think ultimately, whether it's, in person or online, you kind of always get that feel of if something is genuine or not. So I think it just broadens who you are able to connect with and communicate with. And it's utilized so much. Everybody, you have a free second, you're waiting in line, you probably go on like Instagram.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody's got their phones out, right?
Yeah.
They're waiting in line. They're in their car waiting at a signal.
Yes. Don't do
it's like scary.
Yeah, don't. So it's created such an impact on everybody's lives, and I think it's very positive that it's actually useful to so many people, rather than just, what was the first YouTube video, like the elephant at a zoo?
Right, right. Yeah,
that's turned into, fruitful connections and people being educated, which is the most valuable.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
That's so true what you said. And, social media, and I think sometimes people can use social media to kind of hide behind it instead of actually getting out, meeting people personally. And I really like the way that you do it. You use it purposefully. You cast a wide net to thousands of people so they can see who you are, but you then get out to the community You look to meet people face to face, handshake, and the old adage, people buy from people. They don't, and once they know that what's the old saying there that says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Oh,
right?
That's beautiful.
So that my dad taught me. So it's all about the relationship building. Social media puts us out there. People get a taste of us. They get to know. But once they either get on a call with us or get to know us in person, they're like, man, Natalie is everything that she portrays on there and more. And it's so great to meet her in person. So tell us a little bit about, the title of this again was The Mindset of a Champion. So when you think of a champion, Natalie, what comes to your mind as you practice your daily routine? The mindset of a champion.
With the mindset of a champion, I definitely see it as, taking all of the wins in whether it's in the day, somebody finally decided, hey, I'm ready to start shopping, or whether it's not always such a positive, immediately at least, just taking the ups and the downs and learning from both of those, because when you don't take away a positive from, the experiences that are maybe somebody saying no or somebody hanging up on you, things like that, you won't grow. So I think for me, the mindset of a champion is just constantly working on growing. So as I go through my days, as I go through my weeks, my months, I definitely just see it as being consistent, staying with it, because there's harder weeks and days, and there's also, really great highs in this field. So just taking all of those and utilizing them to improve and ultimately give back to people better.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's really well said. And it's I heard a statement that says, I can, I will, I win. And when I think of the terminology or the acronym WIN, I use it to say what's important now. And that's what helps me, Natalie, to be more intentional about my day. So, and for me, it starts, as you mentioned, early in the month. I plan it out. So now I go back to my weeks. Now I go back to my day. And I say, okay, the night before, I look at my calendar, have a podcast with Natalie tomorrow. Great, excited about that. Am I all ready? Okay, good. And I plan out my day very, very intentionally. And I think what's really important is to know your why. Right? My why is my wife. And outside of that becomes her family, my family, our family. Outside of that, it's our friends and our work colleagues and everybody. So I wake up intentional. Sometimes we get a little sidetracked, right? Life happens, and we got to get back on that road of intentionalism and know your why again, But to me, that's my version of a champion. I wake up, I think we both did this before, that's what a champion looks like to us. And now the second part of the title is what sets Natalie, or what sets you apart. So there's thousands of realtors we talked about, lots of lenders and all that, but what do you feel that really sets you apart as a realtor serving your communities?
Yeah, I definitely think that, how much I care is what sets me apart. When I first started, and I know I'm still early on, but when I really just first started, I was heavy on, relationships. And then as I progressed, I kind of got impatient, right? And I really switched over to the opposite end of the spectrum, and I was purely business. You need to pick up your child. I'm sorry, we have an appointment, So
we cannot reschedule this.
We cannot reschedule. So that was kind of how I learned like, hey, it doesn't have to be a negative, a weakness. Like, you stay relational, still care about the person on the other side. So I think just me learning to accept that's become what sets me apart. Just really caring for the person, the families, whoever's on the other end.
What's important to them,
Yes.
their needs, interests.
Yes, their needs, always, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here, right? So
That's right.
so definitely keeping that in mind, I think, is what has developed to be what sets me apart, because I do encounter a lot of very business-based agents, and I think that's awesome. Everyone has a different build to how their business is set up, but I just think that caring is really important at the end of the day, and it goes back to why I even ended up staying working with my license instead of just moving on to something else.
Yeah. That's really great. And that's, when you think about, like, if you were interviewing me and I was saying, I'm looking to purchase in the area of Whittier, and, you're asking me all these questions about, why do you want to move there? What school is important to you? This and that. I could feel that. People can feel that you're whether you really care or not, because if they don't, if you ask me a question but you don't allow me to really finish it, and you've already moved on to the next one, and can you tell sometimes when people are already thinking, they're not really listening to your response? They're already thinking about their next question.
Yeah.
Have you talked to people like that before?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, that kind of goes back to those earlier months. That's how I was. I was just ready to get people in a house, and my intention wasn't, hey, is this the best house?
Yeah. Or the best time.
Yeah, or the best time.
Yeah.
So now it really is centered around that. Like, okay, we're not, it's not these next 3 months. Maybe we have a 6-month time frame, or sometimes it's, hey, the baby's due next month. We really have to get on this. So just caring and keeping that always as the center.
Well, it's served you well.
Focus.
It has, and I can tell. And you have a long career ahead of you of helping more families. And so this is something that's dear to my heart, something that sets me apart. And we talked about this a little bit before, but people that know me, and even people that are about ready to get to know me, one thing is always consistent. If they call me, I always answer my phone. If they text me, I always text back quickly. Even if I'm in a meeting or I'm on another call, I will text, I'll call you right back. I say something. And I have to ask you, how would you rate your communication promptness?
I definitely think on busier days, when maybe I am away from my phone for a few hours, I always make sure to let people know, hey, I'm in a meeting, I'm on another call, give me a little bit and I'll get back to you. That's probably my biggest thing, is like, hey, I'm showing a property right now. Let me let you know, and I'll get back to you. So I'd say that it's, pretty good.
No, that's great. Caring sets you apart. Showing prompt communication, those are things that will serve you so well as you continue on with your career. Well, I have one final question for you. And obviously, you've recently started real estate. You're younger in years. What advice would you offer to somebody that's maybe around your age? Should they consider real estate? If they do, how could they be successful? So what advice would you have to someone that might be considering real estate?
I definitely would say that it's worth it, especially if, your intentions are good in the right place. Something you'll always hear me say is, it'll come back to you multiplied.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
Yeah. So, I keep that in mind whenever I'm speaking with people. I'm like, okay, my intentions are in the right place. Even if now's not the time for them, it'll come back multiplied. And same with them, like it'll go back multiplied to them. Like their intentions are good with me. So, I hope that their blessings are multiplied. So I definitely think that it's a really fruitful field to go into if your intentions are in the right place. And I say to anybody that is considering going into it and maybe, just got their license, I would say keep at it. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Good.
Which was so difficult for me. I was a track short distance runner in high school. So sprinting was always what I've loved. But it's definitely a marathon. Having patience is truly a virtue.
The P word, patience.
Patience. Yeah. So patience, being prepared and constantly educating yourself, bringing more value to the people you're serving will help out times a million. If the intention is there and you're educating yourself, bringing value to people, and you have the patience, you're going to finish that marathon. you're gonna finish it.
That's really great words of wisdom and advice. It's what I find too, what I hear from various students in high schools right now, which is we're reaching out to them as well. In fact, we just had an amazing intern from J. Sarah Catholic School. They have an unbelievable business program for their juniors and seniors. And Stephen Zhang, you know who you are. He's now at UCLA. He's 18 years old. He came with us this last summer for just a couple months. And you're a rock star. I love you, man. You're doing great there. He is also going to be a loan officer, probably the youngest loan officer at UCLA at age 18. But it's just amazing to see the lack of education in the school systems today about real estate, about how to prepare for home ownership. And I'm just so excited to see folks like yourself, like Stephen, and others that are really taking an interest now at a younger age so that you can help your peers and others get into it.
Yeah, I always say, like, when I see somebody around my age walk into an open house, I never treat them any differently. And a lot of the time they'll share how, hey, they have this S corporation and they're like doing great, and they've walked into other open houses and they haven't been taken seriously. So I love working with younger people. I never underestimate younger people, and I think also from a client's perspective, you shouldn't underestimate younger people either, whether they're just starting off as a loan officer or just starting off as an agent, because a lot of the time they're the people that have kept up with what's going on in the market the most.
That's right.
Yeah, sometimes, I especially my first few months, I would really let that get to me when I was submitting offers or somebody came into an open house. They'd ask me, how long have you been doing this? And I'd be like, well, it's my second week. And, they wouldn't really want to work with me because what experience did I have? Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
But definitely, and that's also a piece of advice if you're just starting off, don't let that get to you, because a lot of the times you will know more about that, whatever it is. I think, like 3 months into it, into the business, I submitted an offer for a property in Azusa, and for this particular house, it had been sitting on the market a good while. I requested for escrow to be paid by the seller. Offer got accepted. The agent calls me back once we're under contract and says, you requested for the seller to pay the escrow. We're not doing that. And I said, how do you not? His whole thing before he accepted my offer had been, I've been doing this 25 years. And so my response was, Well, at 25 years, I would hope you're reading a
Read the
contract.
contract.
Yes. So don't underestimate younger people because we're reading contracts.
Absolutely. You bring passion, enthusiasm, and sometimes what happens, the longer we've been in the business, we start to lose those qualities that initially attracted us to the business. And that's why, from my experience, we need our younger folks to step up and step into these business roles as agents, as loan officers, because you bring that enthusiasm. You breathe in life again to us, and you keep us on our toes. And we may have experience and things like that, but you couple that with passion and hunger for knowledge and to help people, and it's a winning combination. Never underestimate. I love that, what you said. Never underestimate younger folks that are hungry and willing to learn. And
Yes.
that's so well said. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for joining today. It was just a real pleasure to get to know you better. And as I mentioned, we've learned what sets you apart now in your market and how you help people. And I can't wait to send you referrals to and let them see this wonderful podcast that features Natalie Montiel from Real Brokerage. And by the way, that is a fantastic brokerage. I can't say enough about it. We have so many, and we're going to save that for another podcast because I want you to share why Real Brokerage. Does that sound good?
Awesome. Yes, thank you so much for having me, and I'm definitely excited for the next.
Great.
Yeah.
Look forward to it. Have a good day, everyone.